Yo, yo, how we doing today, guys? I hope all you beautiful people are doing well. It's Wednesday, it's my day off. That means I got a video coming in for you. And this is not quite my SCUTI review, the new Young Thug album. I don't know if I'm going to do like a full review on this, but I'm definitely going to talk about it for a little bit now. And I'm going to be asking the question, why can't I admit this album's bad? Why can't I do it? And I'm sure there are some people out there who, you've seen the discourse around this album if you're tapping into the video. I've actually been trying to keep up, something I don't normally do if I'm going to talk about an album. Normally I try to go in with my own opinion, not see what other people have to say. But I've been tapping into a lot of my favorite creators talking about this album to try and gauge the public discourse. And the overall sentiment is this album is not it. And I'm going to talk about what I think some of the factors are that are playing into that, essentially. And I want to start off with the controversy because I don't want to talk about this too long. If you're new to the channel, if you been with the channel, know me personally, you can tell I'm a white guy. I'm from the suburbs. I don't want to get into the whole racial politics of this. You know what I mean? Like the album cover, obviously, it doesn't offend me. It'd be kind of stupid to say that, but does the album cover itself kind of come with some issues, especially like what he addressed in the podcast he made talking about it, saying some stuff about to be the biggest, you gotta go white to do it. Yeah, definitely leaves kind of a bad taste in, I think, most people's mouths. Again, I think a lot of people who might be more qualified to speak on this than me that I've seen definitely don't think that that's a good look, and I agree. The last 30 seconds of the intro song, Ninja, also just uncomfortable to listen to. Again, I'm not going to be the one to sit here and break down why this is bad and why this is wrong just because of who I am and my life experience. I can't contextualize that as well as other people can, but some of my favorite creators out there, Justin Hunt, Rob Markman in particular, both of them had great videos talking about why this type of narrative is an issue. And I mean, it's very clear when you look at the discourse, when you look at the backlash he's been getting, when you look at how he talks about these things in the various podcasts he's done, his appearance on Aiden Ross streams, it could definitely become problematic, the language that he uses and how he uses it, going, especially when that coincides with the album cover. Now, personally, it's no secret to me that this is just Young Thug being controversial. He's trying to boost up his sales as much as possible. We can tell from the jail calls that leaked that he cares a lot about album sales, that matters a lot to him. So it's no surprise here that he is going to try and pad out his engagement with some clear and major controversy. So some of that stuff is like, it is what it is, and Young Thug's known to be controversial. You look at past album covers he's done, him being naked on the Barter 6 cover, him in the dress on the Jeffrey cover. He is clearly just trying to stir up headlines and get the discourse around him. Did he go about doing it in a good way? No, not at all. This especially makes everything worse after some of those jail calls that were leaked. Regarding just him bad-mouthing people he knows, him talking about the trial situation, all this stuff, him talking about cheating. So this did not help his public image at all. I don't even know if it'll help boost his sales. Now, I want to talk about the expectations around this album, because the controversy is leaving a bad taste in everyone's mouth. I don't think anyone thinks any of that stuff was a good PR move in the long run. So, but personally, it doesn't, other than the song Ninja, which I will never listen to outside of the context of the album, despite the fact that the first part is good and the beat's hard and stuff like that. I just like that second verse, it's not pleasant. I don't like listening to it. I don't like listening to it. And I kind of think that most people like me should probably not even like listening to that, but that's just me personally. I want to talk about the expectations going into this album, because a common theme that I'm seeing is, Young Thug's been going through so much in his life. He's been out of the music game. He's been locked up for a while. He's got so much to talk about, and he dropped the ball. The content was bad. The content was mid. And all of that is true. All of that is true. But realistically, I know I maybe wanted it. I think this is kind of this like people are trying to like not necessarily rewrite history, but people had expectations that you could tell based on Young Thug's over 10-year rap career that was never gonna happen. Young Thug was never gonna come through on a super lyrical, deep, personal tip. It didn't even need to be super lyrical. He just needed to be talking about what was going on in his life for this album to really hit hard. And he did not do that. And like personally, again, I wanted him to. I didn't expect that. I think a lot of people were expecting that, which kind of, again, is hurting the reception for this album. I'm gonna be honest. Think if you were expecting that, you're not familiar with Young Thug. Genuinely, whenever has Young Thug gotten super personal and delivered songs that have deep content matter outside of talking about being gangsta, talking about being a player with women and spending a bunch of money? Young Thug's music has always been the most bare bones trap content with great punchlines and fun metaphors and similes. I'm not saying he's has always had boring content matter, but you know what you're getting with him. And to expect that difference here for so many people kind of surprised me. Because you're thinking, if you're Young Thug, if I'm in his position, right, I'm locked up, out of the music game for a while. I got all this bad stuff around my name. And what he cares about, again, is those sales, that success, being a superstar. Why would he ever switch it up in this position? Given everything that I just said, was he ever realistically going to change up what he does? Or, again, get super personal when, another point I want to bring up, his 2020 album, Punk, his most experimental, I think, his most lyrically deep, I think, and again, this is not some lyrical masterpiece. This is just Young Thug being more expressive with his music. You have more personal tracks on there, like Day Before, as well as the intro, which I'm forgetting the name of, and a couple other highlights here, right? It was nothing crazy, kind of similar to this album, actually, with just some moments of vulnerability, some moments of genuine authenticity from Young Thug. That album was poorly received, and it did not sell what it could have or should have in comparison to So Much Fun. So again, he's going to go re-up those stakes, knowing that in the past he has done something like that, even similar to, and saw less success. No. So why are we going to expect that? Another thing I want to talk about here is, again, I've seen people talking about this online. I think it's not surprising, but Young Thug clearly is got a lot going on. As I mentioned, he was in jail for a while, mainly communicating with people through jail calls and prison visits. He was mainly also communicating with people in a court of law for years. And, I can't even pretend to understand what that might do to someone, what that might make someone think, especially when it is all across the internet and you have this crazy long trial, the longest in Georgia state history, when you have all this, and now these jail calls coming out of personal intimate conversations that he had being released. You have him possibly cheating on his girl Mariah the scientist, she possibly cheating on him. You have all this stuff out there, falling out with one of his closest friends. There is so many factors that are going to contribute to the fact that Young Thug is probably not in the best state of affairs. And I think he rushed this album along. I don't know if it was him on his own volition or if there was label pressure, but I think clearly there was a sentiment of, we have to get music out and capitalize on all this hype. And I don't think Young Thug was fully here for this. I don't think he was really putting his all into it. I mean, it shows. Does that mean we shouldn't look at the album as bad? Not necessarily, right? But from my personal level, from my perspective, I could look at this album and I could see that what went wrong here, the things that are bad about this album, the lack of charisma, the bad production, it is all clearly coming from a place where Young Thug's, his heart was just not fully in this. And you can tell that from the way he even promoted the album. You can tell that really just from everything. All signs point to that. And I know a lot of people, because of this, want to write off Young Thug as, he only cares about the success and making hits. And that's not true. I'm going to be someone right now who's going to go out to bat for Young Thug's artistic capability. He is a trap artist that I've always considered to be one of the most creative and artistic. And you can look at that because the reason he is successful is the way he uses his voice and his ability to rap as an instrument. His insane flows and vocal inflections are the two things that draw anyone to Young Thug. And a lot of that is missing here. This album is very sanitized. It is very attempting to be radio friendly in a world where rap is not as radio friendly as it was 6 years ago. Even 3 years ago, it's not. So he's coming through with this more sanitized project, this more sterile project, where he is really dimming down what makes him so likable in an attempt to reach a broader audience. But that broader audience is not the audience it once was. Myself and I think most hip-hop fans would have wanted a really passionate project from Thug, where similar to Jeffrey or Beautiful Thug or Girls or Punk, where he is getting experimental with his vocals. But he didn't realize that that's the audience that's here for it is Young Thug fans and not the general populace. Hip-hop is not really at the zeitgeist of music anymore. It's country right now. And we can't pretend that it's not. There still is, of course, a hip-hop zeitgeist that is very, very popular. But it's different since Young Thug was there. And how would he know to tap into that? So yeah, I got, this is the list right here that I'm going off. You could see reasons, controversy, expectations. I talked about the jail and trial and how they might affect Young Thug. The other one here, and you can tell from this video, it is my bias. That's why I have a hard time admitting this album is bad. Young Thug has been one of my favorite rappers for a long time. In my old room, I have a picture of him on my wall. I mean, I really like Young Thug, and it's not like you follow this channel, I'm like a maybe more a lyrical type of guy. I care about like music with deep messages, and Young Thug does not have that, which might beg the question why he's one of my favorite rappers ever. Because Young Thug doesn't have to be a super lyrical guy to reach you. His confidence and his bravado absolutely shines through his music. And when I first started listening to him, like most people, I didn't like him at first because the vocals were too much. But once he resonated with me and once he clicked, that was the thing that really drew me to him. I was like, wow, like this guy is unapologetically himself, and he is super confident in that and super charismatic. And I think those are awesome qualities. Those are the things that I like about someone like A$AP Rocky. Some stuff that when I started listening to him, I needed more of in my personal life. And that's what really drew me to Young Thug as a creator. It's not because he was super deep, but he was able to connect with you in a way that just a very positive guy. Like his music wasn't spiritual, but like similar to like a West Side Gun, like his shit was just about like being fly and being the best. And there's something that even if the lyrics aren't deep or if they're riddled with the basic themes of trap music like drugs and women and all that stuff, it still is a way of speaking to you, and I think there are people who would agree with that. If you're a big Young Thug fan and what I said is resonating with you, let me know in the comments below for sure. Because again, I'm just talking from my personal perspective. I still think Young Thug is a great artist, even if this album is not great. That's why I'm gonna have a hard time admitting that it's bad. A lot of this is cope. These reasons I'm putting out is cope. The reasons for the album is bad. Yeah, I'll be transparent with it. It does suck to say that this album was not good, but it's not, and it's not like because it's bad. It's just underwhelming, man. I look at this track list, and a lot of these songs, like I don't like them. Like they're not the best I've ever heard, but they're not bad. They're just lazy. They are weak. They are sanitized for the mainstream, and they are lacking passion. Now, again, I mentioned Punk earlier in its reception. Business is Business, which came out while Young Thug was in jail, was received far better, and it did things like bring the basic features together that you're going to expect. It was a lot more trap oriented. Not that Punk wasn't trap, but Punk is kind of like an anomaly in what's going on with that soundscape, because like at points it's very like a guitar and acoustic guitar heavy. I mean, if you've listened to the album, you know exactly what I'm talking about. More personal moments and more experimentation, met with criticism, met with weak sales compared to Business is Business, which sidebar, Punk didn't sell weak, it just didn't sell as good of his could have. Where Business is Business was a huge success. You had massive songs on there. That album is beloved by everyone. I mean, I love that album too. I like Punk better, just me personally. But, so of course he's going to go in a route similar to that. He's going to go the safe route because the last time he experimented hard, it didn't pay off. Again, we talk about the position he's in, being out of touch with music, clearly being not in the best headspace. I don't want to speculate on someone's mental health. I don't think that this may be a great thing to do, but I mean, you could tell with everything going on in the public eye that his heart was most likely not 100% in the music. I don't think I'm crazy for saying that. My final reason I want to cite here of why I have a hard time admitting this Young Thug album is bad is because the mainstream fatigue. We have seen it this year with everyone from Lil Baby, Lil Wayne, Drake. Man, there was someone else I feel like who just recently threw up a shitter as well, who was like a pretty big rapper. I don't remember, but just the idea that like the rap populace, the like people who were popping, 6, 7 years ago, the people who were popping like 4 or 5 years ago, like all that shit, are starting to fall off. Gunna, as well, Offset. These guys are falling off. They're not necessarily making bad music. Well, I mean Drake is, Gunna is, Lil Baby was mid, Lil Wayne was bad. But point being, I think the general mainstream audiences, the general music listener, rap is out of the mainstream. We mentioned that. It is not the dominant genre. It's still there, but the people who are listening to rap and like really care about hip hop, they're tired of 20 plus song albums. They're tired of 70, 80-minute long albums with rinse and repeat features, with this super basic trap production. And there's good trap. Like, trap is not an issue, but it's just the production across this album was very sanitized. It was tapping into rage at points, which I kind of liked, since Young Thug is like kind of has a place in the rage discussion, considering considering work that he's done with people like Juice World and other collaborators early on in like 2020. Rich and Shit off of Punk was like a very clear rage song. So like Young Thug is someone who has always kind of, not always, but he's had a hand in the rage scene. So it was cool to see him incorporate some stuff like that, even if it wasn't executed greatly. But my final point on UI SCUTI is this kind of feels like at points, this kind of feels like a Drake album. Now, what I mean by that is, again, this sanitized production, these expected collaborations, which are, again, things that held back an album like For All the Dogs. These kind of gimmicky tracks like Whoop-De-Doo. Very one-note choruses. And, I mean, in particular, there's one track I want to cite here. Go listen again to Dreams Rarely Do Come True featuring Mariah the Scientist, the beat switch on there. Tell me that's not Drake coded. I feel like, and Drake aside, I feel like Young Thug was really just trying to work with his features, Pipe Down is like a Travis Scott song. Walk Down is like a 21 Savage song. Part of My Back is like a Lil Baby song. Because all those instrumentals play to the featured artist's strengths, and Young Thug is there just trying to fit in. And like it felt like there was no chemistry with any of these features. I don't even know if I believe that most of these were done with the Young Thug in the studio with these guys. I have no idea. I have no idea, but it's just feels absent. So yeah, like I said, this is not necessarily my review. I don't know if I'm gonna review this album. I don't know. I'm still struggling for what to say with it, because on the one hand, I'm sitting here trying to be like critical about it, but on the other, it's not bad. It's just underwhelming. And on the third hand, we'll get the third hand over here. I'm just a huge Young Thug fan. And, so it's always a hard time when your favorite rapper, favorite artist throws up something like this. And we've all across the music industry been having moments like this year in hip-hop. Because the mainstream has failed us. It's done. But, hey, we're still going to keep supporting our favorite artists. Just like I'm going to sit here and support Young Thug. I'm going to listen to his next album when it comes out. Hopefully not for a little while. I hope it comes out with some period of reflection for this. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you're feeling. I appreciate if any of you guys tapped into this video. I appreciate your support. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Echo if you're not on that. Great app, by the way. But yeah, take care, guys. It was nice chatting. Let me know what you're feeling in the comments about UI SCUTI. Peace.